Okay, now it's been quite a while since the last episode, but it's not that long, guys. 5 months isn't all that bad. But moving on from that, welcome back to another installment of Games, Life, and Horror, where today we'll be covering the dog, the myth, the legend. Get it? I said the dog and not the man because, okay, never mind. Smile Dog. Enjoy. Back in 2007, an amateur writer visited a woman named Mary E. in the summer of 2007, as she claimed to have had a horrifying story she needed to share with someone, which would be a win no matter what for him, as he would be able to write about it, whether she was lying or not, and he, could get sales and stuff off of that. When he arrived to her house, though, she was locked in her room while uncontrollably crying, screaming, sobbing, everything. It was hard for him to even understand what she was trying to say, but what he was able to get from her that day was that she had been experiencing non-stop nightmares after receiving a disturbing piece of chain mail by the name of smile.jpg. The email included a picture of a dog staring at the camera with a human-like smile, with a bloody handprint on the bottom left of the photo, along with the email telling her to spread the word. And she didn't spread the word, as this could easily go off as just another random chainmail message, which was common at the time, 2007. She would see the dog in these nightmares, demanding her to again spread the word. These uncontrollable dreams drove her to insanity. Mary, at first, when meeting the writer, intended to share the image with him in order to end her own suffering, which was why she even, told him in the first place about what was happening. But later on, she changed her mind and still didn't share the image with anybody. Days would go by, and soon enough, she couldn't take it anymore. Not only did she keep getting even worse nightmares than before, the picture of the dog got worse, as in more distorted and even more creepy. Mary E. killed herself soon after, as she couldn't take it anymore. But this isn't the end of the story. Not at all. You see, years later, the writer was still living his normal life until one day he received something in his email by the name of, you guessed it, smile.jpg. Now, at first, he didn't want to open it as he knew the consequences of what would happen. The uncontrollable nightmares, insanity, suicide. But his curiosity got the best of him. He opened the email and saw the image of the smiling dog, along with the message to spread the word. But he did spread the word. Now, what did the author do when he finally looked at it, and what did he do to spread the word? Well, he wrote the story of what happened. He wrote down everything and posted the image along with the story online for every unlucky viewer to see it. Meaning that if you read the story, you must yourself spread the word, or you'll get uncontrollable nightmares leading you to insanity until you eventually end your own life. And not only that, but some say that at the beginning, this chain all started off with a picture of the devil himself. Alright, so that was a good one right there. That story was actually pretty creepy, but what, forget that. We'll save that later for the ratings later on. Now, we need to get into the real questions here, the ones that everyone's dying to hear, the one that everyone needs to know because they don't know already. Is Smile Dog real? Now, guys, it's getting pretty obvious to this point, knowing that every story we've covered so far is fake. Not real at all. And sometimes they're pretty ridiculous, too, to say the least. So, you must have not been expecting this. Definitely not. But no, Smile Dog isn't real. But it's also pretty believable, too. Now, onto the ratings for this story. For believability, this is actually a pretty believable story considering the massive amounts of chainmail being spread around like flies back around the 2007 time period that this story takes place in. and that really says something about people and how gullible they are, so they would actually believe it. But at first, I actually believed this story, as nothing really seemed too extreme or far-fetched about it, so I'll give it an 8 out of 10. And for originality, this is actually a pretty original and creative story, unlike a lot of the stories covered in this series, using something that was actually an issue with the internet at the time and turning it into its own horror story. No one really makes stories like this, and still no one's really ripped it off. I'm surprised no one's ripped it off like they've done to a lot of other stories. I'll give it another 8 out of 10. And for creepiness, I'd actually say that this is one of the creepiest stories I've actually covered in this series, which, isn't really that extreme of a standard, but it's extremely believable and not filled with cliches, and the image itself adds a bit of creepiness to the story. There's really nothing about it that gets boring, not entertaining, and it's just a good story all around that actually has a lot of scary parts to it. I'll give it yet another 8 out of 10. That leaves Smile Dog with a 24 out of 30 rating, which I think is a pretty fair rating. I'll look at my ratings for the Russian Sleep Experiment and the Goat Man story to see if this one is a little too high, but for right now, I think this is a pretty fair rating. But that does it for this episode and this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, and, hit that notification bell too to get notified on all my uploads. I'm trying to do this weekly as frequently as possible. And yeah, that's basically it. Hope you had a good day, and also request what I should cover next in the next video and in the next episode. It's pretty hard for me to do research on stories that have been covered by other YouTubers already. So I basically need suggestions now. But anyways, that's really it. See you all later. Peace.